All right, we'll begin this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the meeting to order and begin with roll call.
Mac Rankin,
Here.
Ben Metzger,
Present.
Eric Christensen,
Here.
Rob Keller is absent with notice, Tim Mills absent with notice, Ryan Whirling,
Here.
Sue Wilson,
Here.
administrators as well. You want to do administrators as well? No.
We're always here.
Good news and board member reports.
Sure. Well, I don't really have a lot of good news other than what's on our social media, but a couple of them housekeeping items I'd like to share this evening to the attention of the board and the school community overall. Graduation for Indianola High School class of 2024 will be held on Sunday, May 26th at 1:00 p.m. at Blake Fieldhouse. The next item I would like to share is the last day of school for students. That day will be Friday, May 31st, with a 1-hour early dismissal for all students from their regularly building schedule. Please make sure to check the Little Hawkeye Conference calendar on our district webpage for any of the social media pages for other important dates and events as we wrap up the 23-24 school year. And last but not least, May is School Board Recognition Month, and it's sponsored by the Iowa Association of School Boards to celebrate the contributions of board members to Iowa public education. Indianola Community School District is celebrating the work of our school board members who are propelling students to new heights in partnership with the school, community, families, and citizens. School board members serve to make a difference for students and help ensure the sky's the limit for their future success. They devote their time to monthly meetings, reviewing board materials, communicating with the citizens of our community and parents, exploring learning opportunities, and attending school functions and activities. The Indianola Community School District School Board is charged with charting the course for our school district and our students. They oversee the budget, develop policies, set the culture for the school district, and make decisions that impact the entire community to construct a solid foundation toward their commitment to student achievement. Each year they re-examine this foundation, carefully connecting each piece to make practical, concrete decisions in the present with the never-ending goal of developing Iowa future leaders. Our school board keeps the district on the right path, tightly focused on ensuring high and equitable learning for all students. They serve approximately 3,650 students, 545 employees, and are responsible for an annual general fund budget of approximately $45 million. Thank you to our board members Eric Christensen, Rob Keller, Ben Metzger, Tim Mills, Mac Rankin, Ryan Whirling, and Sue Wilson for your unwavering dedication to our students and school community. Thank you very much.
Board member reports.
I have a few. I just wanted to tell kind of the whole community, the Wizard of Oz that happened over at our auditorium the last week in April consisted of close to 150 of our students. So everything from the makeup was done by the help of some of our staff, but makeup, costume, stage, building, the actors and actresses on site to the entire orchestra pit. So that was all of our students, 150 of them were involved in that, kindergarten all the way up. I know a lot of staff also at the high school volunteered their time. So I just wanted to kind of congratulate the entire theater department and Miles and Haley Finn. On top of that, I also wanted to congratulate Pitt and Brandy Ann, because if you remember on that Friday night, we had that tornado. So we had 900 people in that facility, and obviously they had trained their local theater staff and had trained on exactly what to do. So there was no direction that they needed when administration checked in, because they were actually ahead of the call. So it was really neat. Our biggest concern was just keeping people cool. But they did a really, really nice job, and it could have been kind of a stage for disaster. But they did a nice job, and the show went on. Well, at 10 o'clock at night, I think they took the stage again after the tornado. So just an entire job well done by them. Another thing is that our middle school principal and assistant principal, along with Miss Haley Finn, has brought the ISEP program to our middle school. And ISEP stands for Iowa Students for Tobacco Education and Prevention. And so we now have a chapter of that run, another kind of leadership opportunity for our youth in the middle school. So there's 25 kids that were chosen. They had to apply to be part of this program. And this started in like the end of March. They've already done an Earth Day event as a group, just educating people on what tobacco prevention education is. And then they went around and cleaned up cigarette butts and trash kind of along our facility. So I'm excited to see that youth group. And then May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so in preparation for that, I just wanted to thank the high school administration and the middle school administration. They all came together to host a 3 education series part where they brought in the American Lung Association on education on vaping, and NAMI, which is the National Alliance of Mental Illness, came in and spoke just basically on resources. And then we had our Warren County District Attorney's Office and Indianola Police Department come in and just talk about social media and what are the trends and what we're seeing and how we can maybe do better and serve our families better, and the kids can serve each other better. So there's a lot of people that went into that. So the administration of the high school and middle school, that's a huge impact that I think had on all of those kids and students. So thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, anyone else? I, a couple weeks ago, got to visit Emerson for their Wax Museum Day, and I was blown away at how the kids had prepped for that. So many different kids dressed up as so many different people from our past, and were really able to share a lot of fun information. So kudos to the Emerson 5th grade staff for prepping those kids so well. Presentations.
So I had invited the K-12 art department to come and speak to the board. I actually invited them last year just to highlight and recognize what a high-functioning and effective professional learning team they are. When they get together on Wednesday afternoons when we have the 1-hour early release time, they have so much evidence over the last several years of doing vertical alignment of their curriculum, reorganizing and reviewing their standards for education, making sure that their professional development not only meets their needs, but helps them to continue to grow. There's just on and on how this team works together. And so it was just an opportunity for them to highlight some of the things that are happening, because we talk about continual improvement and striving to be better, and they are an excellent representation of that happening. So I would turn it over to you with the microphone, whatever's going, and Ray has their presentation.
All right, I will start us off. So we are part of the K-12 Visual Arts program for our district. I am Alicia Kazmarek. I'm the art teacher out at Wilder. We also have Jared, who is the art teacher out at Whittier. We have Laura, who is one of the high school teachers, and Lisa Smith, who is the 6th and 7th middle school teacher. And not with us today is also Monica Weinman, also at the high school, and then Kaylee May at Emerson, and Gabby Haas at Irving. So I just wanted to share too, we really appreciate the opportunity to be able to share actually the opportunities that we get as a K-12 visual arts program. I think that we're pretty privileged in that Annette has granted us some awesome opportunities in that we have access to what is called the Art of Education Flex Curriculum. So this is originally a website that started geared specifically for art teachers, for whether it was lessons or professional development, and they've really kind of gained traction and now have full-fledged master's programs, but also offer all of these other really great things, two of which we actually subscribe to and are members of. So the Flex curriculum actually provides a scope and sequence K-12, so we are able to much more easily align our curriculums from kindergarten through 12th grade. There are so many opportunities for us to individually tailor our needs too for all of our different students and all of our different buildings. So that's the Flex curriculum. That's kind of what we'll talk about throughout this little presentation and how it impacts each of our different levels. The pro learning is actually much more individualized professional development for our teachers. One of our favorite things that we do throughout the year is we each pick a program, I guess, and then we do the learning and earn those PD hours with our AUE membership, but then we share out our learning with each other. So not only are we, amplifying our own teaching and bettering ourselves as individuals, we share out that learning then together, in addition to our normal PLT to-do list, I guess. And then our biggest thing that we wanted to share was our awesome opportunity last year in April to attend the National Art Educators Conference in San Antonio. So we were all able to go together, and I mean, words cannot express enough of how great this is of an opportunity for individuals like us who are usually all alone in our buildings. Not only do we get to interact every week together, but then in these opportunities where we have these conferences and these memberships, we are able to expand and network and then just continue to be as authentic and effective as we can be. And we all have kind of specific learnings that we have brought back. One specifically, I attended a session at this conference about bringing just in 2-minute little drawing exercises and reinforcing kind of the social emotional learning and all of those character building aspects. And I've seen a really great improvement in my students, not only getting them on task, but being able to have those reflective abilities, especially with their drawings and creativity. So really, that's just our K-5 impact. And I know Lisa is going to share how the middle school and high school have seen the impact not only with our curriculums, but with our conference trip.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm so glad we have the opportunity to thank all of you for your support. At the middle school, we are so grateful for Flex and Pro curriculum each year. To me, Pro has been the answer for getting the individual professional development I need. My favorite Pro packs this year were standards-based grading, support for students experiencing trauma, and visual literacy. I'm more knowledgeable, confident, and prepared as a teacher with this curriculum. You can go to the next slide. Flex resources have helped me elevate my lessons in every aspect. This is a screenshot of Flex curriculum showing that a search for just op art brought up 442 options for resources for my op art lesson. It's amazing. You can go to the next slide. Thank you for funding to attend art conferences, especially the San Antonio last year where our whole art team could learn together. Our group photo for that is on the right. Being a singleton at the middle school, it is so valuable to collaborate with teachers in my grade level at conferences. In the middle photo, you can see a colleague I met in 2010 at conference who has become one of my best friends and mentors. On the left is a museum curator I met during a fall conference who ended up bringing the University of Iowa museum exhibits to our middle school classroom. Next slide. As Alicia stated, our NAEA membership allows us to involve students in programs to recognize their achievement. It's really awesome, all of these programs, because of that membership. Next slide. The benefits to our community are seen as a result of your support of the art department. Students take opportunities when offered to serve our community using the visual arts in many ways, as you can see in these photos. We just have awesome kids. Next slide. The high school art teachers also value Flex and Pro, along with memberships and attending conferences to learn new ideas for their curriculum. The high school art department continues to grow. This year they had a record number of seniors continuing in the art field. Monica and Laura have helped many students obtain art scholarships and even a full ride. And next slide. In conclusion, Indianola has the top art teachers in Iowa. My speaking does not reflect that. All right, that is in my opinion. Our top goal is to teach students to be innovative thinkers, problem solvers, and have the skills and confidence to go for their dreams. Thank you for being here behind the scenes to support us and all you do for our district. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I also thought it was really cool during the Wizard of Oz that you guys partnered with the theater department, and the lobby was all like the artists that have done like it was just Wizard of Oz themes. So not only could you go in and watch these kids perform on stage, but you could see the talent that we have in the art room as you walked around the outside. I mean, they were awesome.
And Monica Weinman, she tailors that gallery to the musical every year. So
It was awesome. It was so cool.
And with us focusing on the careers now with the Quest, the kids are finding out that a lot more careers are art related. So that's really awesome.
I mean, I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, but, it's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Next presentation.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Officer Marshall for those who do not know me, and I am the DARE instructor. First off, I want to thank all of you guys for letting me teach DARE and bringing this program back. I thought it was a phenomenal year for me and for the kids. I think we both got enjoyment, and we ended with a great graduation, which I have pictures here at the end for that, to show you kind of all what the kids did and even what the teachers helped me out with. So, also I want to thank all the principals, counselors, and teachers and all the staff with the schools in all 4 elementary buildings. I worked really well with them. I built really good relationships with them, and they helped me along the whole way. We worked together, and I have nothing bad to say about any of them. I thought they were great, and I appreciate building that relationship with them and being in there. So I want to thank that. So the first thing I'll show you, DARE as us and growing up, it's a lot different than what it used to be. It's not the same, and I think for the better in a lot of ways. So I first want to go over kind of just the 10-week lessons of what we learned, what we go over, what I taught the kids this year. So lesson 1 we start with, that's more of, kind of any lesson, introduction, introduce myself, kind of what they're going to be learning, kind of what the rest of the lessons are about. And lesson 2 is on drug information for responsible decision making. Now the drug information, the only drug information we talk about is tobacco, alcohol, and nicotine. We don't go into the hardcore drugs anymore or show pictures or any of that. That's not part of DARE anymore. Just a small amount of tobacco, alcohol, just the health effects of what they can do to you and why it's bad and what nicotine is. And that is the last thing we talk about drugs. The rest of the lessons are basically how to make good choices. So lesson 3, it goes into risk and consequences. So we all know about how important that is throughout all of life. Is you take a risk and there's going to be consequences. But we talk about there's also positive risk and positive consequences. They're not all bad risk. A risk isn't always a bad thing. So we kind of go through, and the big thing teaching is it's through the kids. So it's not me just teaching and telling them all this stuff. They are talking to each other, teaching each other too as well. Because through Science and Learn, through what I've learned at my DARE school, is basically kids are more likely to learn from each other than just being told. So I involve that a lot in my DARE curriculum, is the kids are telling me what they think. And if it's not on the right track, I correct it a little bit, like, no. But that's lesson 3. And then lesson 4, we go into peer pressure. That's one of the big things we hit, is peer pressure that all kids deal with. And I even explain to this, even as adults, you deal with peer pressure. And we go through examples, and we have workbooks as well that we do activities each week as well. In lesson 5, we dealing with stressful situations. So how to handle stressful situations, not reacting out of anger, how to deal with it in a safe, responsible way. So go on the board and basically list off all what do you think are some good ways. So examples would be like listen to music, walk away, kind of good stress relievers and not bad ones. Not reacting out of anger, not doing the bad things. So just how to deal with stress. Lesson 6 is basics of communication. So we talk about confident, demanding communication, and unsure. So demanding, we have a little fun, and I raise my voice a little bit, and they get a kick out of it, but just showing you that's not how you want to communicate. And then unsure, and I kind of go around, and I'm like, you don't want to communicate to the school board, turn it around like that. So unsure, and then confident. So we teach them how to confident communication. That's what we harp on. And then lesson 7, we get into nonverbal communication and listening. So all the nonverbal cues, so they're learning when making eye contact, looking at people when you're talking to them, good body posture, different things like that, and then also listening. So actually listening to the other person or your teacher or whoever it involves. And then lesson 8, we get into bullying and ways to report bullying, safe ways to report bullying, what a bystander is, and just details of bullying all well. And then lesson 9 is helping others, so different ways to help others, and just big or small, they share different stories they have of when they helped or they knew someone that helped. And we kind of just, it can be something small, like if someone drops their books in the hallway, you can help them pick up their books, or give someone a nice haircut, just simple things of helping others. And then lesson 10 is getting help from others and review. So big thing we end on is that basically there's a big circle diagram, and it's, you put in your help bubble. So who's your support system? So I go, is it your mom, is it your dad, is it your teacher, your counselor, principal, whoever it is to you, who's your help network? So they kind of get that idea of who can you go to, who can you trust. That's kind of where we end on DARE. And that's the 10 weeks I teach in DARE, and I thought it went great. Also, I want to point out with the staff, the scheduling, working with them, sometimes there's things that come up, right? Rather my schedule, because I still work the road too and work different ways, so scheduling, simple, just a simple call, be like, hey, can I move this class over here? And we were able to work it out every time, and obviously this spring semester there was a lot of snow days. So we were able to move that around and get everything set up still just with the partnership we had. So I thought that was great. So now I'll show you the DARE graduation. I want to point out on this picture, this is from DARE graduation, but this was from Wilder Elementary. Teachers and the kids made all of this for me. I didn't ask or anything, they kind of did on their own, and I thought it was great. It looked great, it made my graduation look great, and it was great for the kids. So they put all that together, and I think that's awesome. We go next. More on that, keep going. So right there, so those are, so DARE graduation, there's also essay winners, so they all write essays, so I forgot to mention that. I had to read 300 of them. I've never done that before. I learned what a teacher's being like, reading 300 essays. But there was a lot of great ones. And before I finish that up, is it all right if I pass you guys one specific essay that I wanted to give to you guys? There was a lot of good ones, but my goal has always been, if I can help at least one kid, then I know I'm doing something for good. And I can just kind of read this now. So one of my essays was here. He goes, thanks for teaching us DARE, Officer Marshall. Sorry if I spelled your name wrong. He spelled it right, but there was a lot of kids that did not. But that's on me. You are the best cop in the city, and you are very kind to me. When I'm struggling, you come and help me on my work. You are a great person to me and my fellow classmates. I will now make better choices while I grow up, and you are the reason why. I will always remember you. Thank you so much. I have learned to never do drugs, smoke, vape, drink alcohol, and to listen to people talk, and you're going to teach me more. I have been using your teaching skills by myself. See, I've been listening to people while they talk to me, and I've been focusing more during math, reading, CQLA, and more. Without DARE, I was not behaving well. I never learned well, never paid attention, and even ate. I was getting bullied too. But when you came, that all went away. I have high hopes for the future now. Can't wait until you come back. You are so cool and nice. I have planned to use your lessons to never do bad things. I will keep this promise until I die. You are the reason I'm the guy I am right now. I didn't want to type this, but then I heard a voice. Make Marshall happy. Have high hopes. Now I'm here. You are the best. Bye-bye. And I had multiple. Like I said, there was 300 of them, and there was a lot, and I don't want to give you 300 essays so you can read them all either, but it helps me to just see the impact I've already made in first year here. 300 students already. It's a big school district, and to continue to do it over the years, I appreciate it again. So that's DARE. That's DARE and the Lion. And we got a kid also known as Bubby. They gave him the nickname Bubby since they're 5th grade. Don't really match, but I let it happen. Presenting there. Keep going. going right here on this one. So these are the essay winners. So I picked one essay winner from each school. It was probably one of the most difficult tasks to only pick one, but I finally, with the help from some coworkers and stuff, I was able to identify 4 winners. And they're each getting their pin in that picture. They get an essay winner pin and then prizes in those bags of multiple DARE items. And then there's also a guest speaker at graduation, or guest speakers that can be different every year to kind of make it fun. We had guest speaker, and the big thing all year since week 1, they asked about Kilo Canine, our dog. They asked every class, every school wanted the dog. So Officer Nixon was very nice and said he would help out and do a demonstration, and the kids absolutely loved it. And they got to see the dog at the end that they all asked for all year. And that's a picture of the staff. They all went together and gave me a gift, which I thought was actually really nice. I was not expecting that at all. So, you guys have any questions or anything for me about DARE? All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Are there any delegations, petitions, or communications?
None that I'm aware of. I don't know if Mr. Enns has any.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Next item is the consent agenda. Are there any items that you'd like to pull and discuss?
Yeah, I would like to just discuss the non-resident students in district activity. I think it's the I-35 school for athletic participation. I read the contract and but the dates say this agreement shall be effective July 1 of 2023 and shall be in full force for the 2023-24 school year and shall be terminated on June 30th, 2024. So are those wrong dates on there, or we just?
No, that's the correct date. You approve it after it's done, because that's when everything gets finalized. So after the season is completed, then the contract will be done, and if there's an agreement for the following year, it'll come like either at the end of wrestling, or not wrestling, but either swimming season or whatever sports they'll potentially be in agreement with.
So are they asking for another agreement for this?
No, this is just the end of this year, because this is with the soccer program. This will, once the season ends, this will end after this year.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because it doesn't actually say a sport in there. So that was my other thing, is it just said whatever sports that school doesn't offer.
Yeah.
So I was just confused as to what.
Will we have another one for Southeast Warren?
We don't have any more right now. This is it. We don't have anybody from Southeast Warren that I'm aware of that we do any cooperative sharing with for the spring sports.
Gotcha.
But Martinsdale, St. Mary's, like, have we seen theirs? Because I know that we've got soccer players from Martinsdale, St. Mary's.
I haven't seen it.
My understanding from Jana is those 3 that you've mentioned so far, and Winterset, I don't know if I mentioned Winterset, Southeast Warren, and Martindale St. Mary's were done already in the fall because they had kids participating in some of our fall sports, similar to that for the entire school year. So we'll probably see all 4 of these again in the fall, but those 3, I believe, were already done last fall for those 3.
So I'm still confused.
We're just finalizing last year's agreement.
Oh, that, so we just like finalize it and then just file it away? Oh, okay. So there's no decisions to be made?
So we can leave that in the consent agenda.
Perfect.
Okay with that?
Thank you for explaining that.
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Motion made by Eric. Seconded by Ryan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is the district approval of the revised meet and confer handbook.
You want me to take it? Okay. Yeah, as included in your packet is first page of the revisions to the Meet and Confer handbook, and then the Meet and Confer handbook with the revisions in it. You'll note obviously the changes on the first page and then highlighted in the subsequent pages. Also included on your spot was a slight amended set of changes, because there was one item that we forgot to pull from our notes regarding vacation, because we had changed how we handle what was previously floating holidays and got rid of those and just melded that into the vacation. There were some people that were sitting at 22 that we were moving to 25, and so there's uniformity amongst Meet and Confer groups with a maximum of 25. So I wanted to make sure that we got that in before approval this evening. But otherwise, I'd open up to any questions you might have regarding Meet and Confer.
I have a few.
Yep.
I think these are both in the handbook. The $10 increase in clothing allowance for food service, is that part of the handbook? Or is that something else?
It's part of the handbook, and all the groups went up to 210.
So-
We're recommending that, I guess.
So what do they, like, what can they get reimbursable? Like, we give them cash, do they buy like their jeans or Indian old sweatshirts, t-shirts? Like, what is their kind of uniform?
Shirts,
Shoes are a big one, and
Yeah.
boots, probably those are your two
Mostly
biggest ones
that.
right there. Your food service people have non-skid shoes, and of course, facilities people they have a allowance, I assume too. They'll have steel-toed boots or something like that too.
And do we just kind of like pick $10, or we feel like that's what the employees were asking for, or does it need to be higher as clothes and boots and prices and all that goes higher? Just because I buy the anti-slick boots for our clients, and you're right, they are increasing.
Yep.
So are the steel-toed boots, like almost $7, $8, $9 a pair. So we just had this similar conversation in our work because we designate money towards clothes for employment. So I just didn't know if that was based on feedback, or that's financially what we can do right now, or
All of them.
what.
You
Okay,
had all the points.
Okay.
They requested it, we talked about it. I think, this is something that, because I think it's probably been sitting at 200 for quite some time, and so I think we're gonna work our way up over the next few years to get that to a higher number. But yeah, they had requested it, and we talked it over, and financially, we'll get there, I think, to get a higher amount for them for just the reasons you mentioned.
perfect. And then I have one other question.
Yeah.
And this is, maybe I should read a policy. So the drug and alcohol testing for our drivers, is that school bus drivers only? Or does that include people that are driving in our vans and our service vehicles and everything like that? I was just,
Obviously,
I was
yes,
just wondering.
mandatory for yellow school bus drivers. And I guess, because you're asking about basically non-yellow school bus drivers that would be driving even, let's say.
like the Suburbans
Suburbans to a golf meet or something like
or
that.
the vans, or the
I don't
vans.
think, I don't know policy here well enough to know whether they are subject to random drug tests, but obviously if there was an incident, there would be a drug test.
If it's a regular district employee, they don't. I mean, like if I drive a Suburban, I don't have to go through the transportation drug test, but if something were to come up, it'd be there'd be a punishment with it just like anything else, but we don't require that because we don't require every employee to have that, just those that are under the guise of transportation employees.
So if they do get in, and if somebody does get in an accident in one of the vehicles outside of the bus, would they have to go through certain protocols?
I guess it would depend upon, maybe Ben would know, I guess it would depend upon whoever was there at the scene of the accident.
Gotcha.
If they would require them to go through, if there was a suspicion that they might be under the influence of something, they might do that. But it's mandatory for all other transportation accidents.
Yeah, perfect. I didn't know those answers. Thank you.
Any other questions? Motion to approve the revised Meet and Confer handbook.
So moved.
First by Eric. Second by Ben. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is the issuance of contracts and letters of assignments for meet and confer employees, associates, teachers extended, teacher leadership extended, coaches and sponsors, admin support specialists, and summary of benefits, and administration and summary of benefits.
So obviously our employees covered, teachers essentially under the master contract. The master contract already identified for their amounts and you've approved them. Those have been issued and like this kind of gets everybody else, identifies their pay for the subsequent year. And so certainly if you have any questions about rates or groups, feel free to offer them.
I know we did this in HR, but are the high school students included in this? Or is that in? So my question is, I know in HR we talked about the student theater technicians and the athletic ticket takers. Is that now as a conversation or wait till HR to?
Part of the sub-matrix.
So wait till we get to the sub-matrix? Okay. So you need individual motions.
This one. I think blanket motion, unless you wanted to pull a group out separately, it can be the entire group.
Before we do that, just one question. Do we feel like those rates are fairly competitive with neighboring districts?
Well, that's the thing. We've had a lot of discussion, and I'll let you comment on that a little bit more. But, there have been areas where we have had to bring them up, noticeably to make it competitive. And I don't know. I think in our conversations we have, because we've looked at information online from groups at other school districts, mostly with IESB, identifying rates.
Every year we have to turn in through beds in October, salaries, benefits of all of our staff individually. And so this, what Chad is referring to, there's a way that you can show 10 higher, 10 lower than us. Sometimes we compare to our conference, athletic conference, when we're talking about our activities director. But it is like the 10 higher and lower enrollment is typically what we compare to. It gives us a good, like, Urbandale and Norwalk and those types of groups. So.
We're in the mix.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And a lot of times we're higher than them, but sometimes, I think our teachers are well paid and well deserved of that. So comparatively, we might be above them, but that's been okay, so, yeah.
Great.
Any other questions? Motion to
Motion to approve the list of 2024-2025 contracts, assignments for the following listed groups.
Motion made by Ryan,
Second.
seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now the sub-matrix is up.
Is that where my question goes?
I think so.
Okay. So I know we talked in the HR meeting a little bit about the student theater technicians were making $7.50 an hour, which is hard to stay involved at that cost. And the ticket athletic takers were making, or did we move them to 12? They were making 10, I think we are asking to move them to 12. I guess my question is then it shows later on that high school students that work in childcare make $12.50. So I guess I was thinking when we talk about like uniformity across.
Yes, I think this shows that increase to 10.
No, but I'm saying if our high school students are in the childcare department, they make $12.50. So, I mean, they have just as much responsibilities as our high school students that are involved in the theater side. So I guess my question would be, what warrants one high school student to make $12.50 and the other high school student only to make 10?
There's some sort of training and certification they have to pass for the child care.
I talked to Pitt about, and Brady, and Pitt is the one who shared that he thought that $10 was a fair amount. It would be a good number to offer. So.
I just, that was,
I
that,
trusted him
I
more
actually
when he
had
said-
that question. Why is it that a high school student childcare can make more than a high school student in the theater department? And I was like,
Well,
I don't have that answer. Like, right? Just, I didn't. And so, I just thought I would ask that, just to make sure we're supporting both ends of it. But, yeah, I mean, I know that the student theater technicians, it would be interesting to, if, I don't believe they get credit for that. Do I wonder, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would be okay to be lower than the other high school students if they also received credit for being a theater technician, but I don't think that's the case, so I would have to talk to.
It's two completely different positions, though, I think. So the uniformity is.
Yeah, but they're both still high school students.
Yeah, correct.
And Ben mentioned certification. Are there some requirements there for the childcare or not?
Certainly.
Yeah, is there, and do those have to be 18 or?
No.
No, okay.
But there's also stuff on the theater side, as running all the technology and the lights, and they have to have their safety protocol to be up on the bridge and the catwalk and stuff. So I'm just, I was looking at it a little bit more and just looking at the different hours and stuff. So, but if Pitt and Brandy Ann said that was what they think is fair, then yep, sounds good.
And ticket takers, talked to Lee Nelson about that, and they weren't asking for an increase, but it had been several years since they were increased, and thought that was appropriate at this point, so.
And is it true that money comes out of the actual event that they are working?
And if we have current staff that is filling that role, they make whatever their regular hourly rate is?
It's a secretary doing that job, because it's considered an extension of that by the Department of Labor. If you're a classroom associate, it's not an extension of that position. So they would get ticket taker pay when they're taking tickets. They don't get associate pay for doing the job because it's two separate jobs. But Department of Labor has said that doing ticket taking is very similar to a secretary, so we have to pay them the secretary wages to do that. So.
And is that total amount taken out of the event as well?
It is. And it would oftentimes puts them into overtime because they work 40 hours a week as a secretary. So when they're taking tickets, they're getting time and a half for that.
Thank you for explaining that. Thank you for sharing that.
Any other questions on that? Motion to approve the substitute matrix.
So moved.
First by Eric,
Second.
seconded by Ryan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. The curriculum committee report.
So we talked about business use software for a high school marketing course, and I think that is actually in an action item for later tonight. And just continuing to make sure we're updated and relevant with what we are teaching. 6-8 science teachers recommended purchasing FOSS Next Generation, which in the same curriculum company that K-5 has, which is nice. And then looking at different math courses, different things coming through for curriculum, different release list of math and language curriculums that need to be reviewed. The next thing we talked about was the credit awareness tool. And this is really interesting I've had a lot of conversations with students that just today, well, I'm going to be a senior next year, and she didn't attend junior classes. I was like, you're not graduating next year. And she's like, what? I'm like, you didn't come to school your junior year. You don't have credits. You're going to come back as a junior. And she looked at me like I was crazy. right? And so we talked about like, how do we make sure if they're truant, you know, if their attendance has been an issue. To some of us, it might be common sense, but I don't know where maybe the overlap's happening, but really, how do we make sure that that when they get moved into a junior class, like they have credits to be a junior, right? Not just because that's their class. So for more further study, but it has been really interesting, the conversations I've engaged in with some of the parents and the students thinking their kids are graduating next year because that is their assigned class. But you can't miss 12 credits in a year and think you're gonna come back and be a senior. And so, right, like, how do we start having those conversations as you're gonna be a junior and you're not gonna graduate with your friends. And so I would be really interested in just learning more about how do we communicate that? Because we don't know why they didn't maybe perhaps attend school their whole junior year, but what we do know is how many credits they need to graduate, and if they're not where they need to be, then they can't graduate with that class. And so conversation that we're having across the board and some of the other schools we work with as well is that education piece, like if they don't go to school, they don't get the credits, which means they're not in that class. So just something we talked about. Social media and youth mental health, just, how do we look at use of cell phones in schools? And we know the research out there in correlation to mental health, so continuing is there something we can start just looking at cell phone usage in school? And Sarah Richardson is one of our librarians, and she's going to attend an artificial intelligence for K-12 educators for a possible new high school course in AI. You get the next one.
Okay.
So this was just last.
Yeah, this was just earlier this week, or last week. First, I guess we're waiting we're either going to be chosen or we're waiting to be chosen for a Regional Education Laboratory Midwest Professional Development, which is a program to help teachers become better at teaching fractions.
Oh.
Specifically, right? Fractions, teaching. All right, so that's the first thing, no action. Secondly, yes, the high school math curriculum is coming due every, seventh year, is what I remember. The curriculum has to be renewed, updated, and it's time for our high school to do that here coming up. And 3 of the courses anyway are due at this point, so my dad's having a conversation with them, trying to urge some of them that need a little more urging to come along to a newer, nicer, better overall model. So we're working on that, getting that. This summer, you have to have that new program, not program, but curriculum chosen.
Yeah, in June, I'll be bringing that back
We'll need to,
to you. We're still in some meetings on what will be the final selection.
Next one, Sue made the meeting speed up, so I didn't catch notes on the third
Oh.
one. So I'll just
What
read
one?
it. Committee, I'll read it. The committee, just unless you remember, the committee discussed the plan and the need to reduce any impact to learning that could occur. Oh yeah, if something traumatic or tragic happened, how are we going to continue learning online? So kind of a contingency plan.
Well, and two, we talked about are we prepared if technology goes offline?
Crumbles, yeah.
Right, and so do we kind of have our steps in place as to figure out who's talking to who and who's communicating with who and I think Annette made a point that each teacher is really encouraged to get what are your essential topics, and do you have weeks of that ready for offline learning?
Have something ready. That review is something maybe you've already learned all up to that point, but kind of a small review course for those potential moments. The last one was just some opportunities that teachers have this summer to, as listed here, focus groups, building leadership team roles, collaboration, innovation roles. These are different roles that teachers can acquire, and then their voice and their talents and everything can be improved and used through these different opportunities. I think that's all for us. Yeah.
Any questions for the curriculum committee? We have 2 requests from that committee. The first one is a request to approve Business U.
Make a motion to approve Business U curriculum.
Ben. Second by Ryan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Second item is FOSS Next Generation.
Motion to approve FOSS Next Generation Science Curriculum.
First and seconded by Ben and Sue. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. HR committee report.
HR talked about the sub-matrix, which we've already talked about. Raised the rate for technicians at 10, ticket takers to 12. We talked about the 180 days of instruction that's been discussed recently, just comparatively to other districts. Talked about the varying needs that go into the school year. That's an ongoing discussion for further studying, for further information. All the certified staff have signed their contracts that are returning next year, and Ryan Sweeney from Monterey is going to be our new athletic director. Lots of experience, comes from a great athletics school, so he'll do well. That's it.
Questions for the HR committee? Monthly financials.
It's found in the packet. Nothing consequential, at least from what I can tell, but open to any questions you might have.
Motion to approve the financials.
So moved.
Eric?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Facilities committee report.
DOC building is going through its final punch list for completion. I don't know, is that done now, Ted, since our last met? Or
Getting there.
Getting there, getting closer.
It's been that way for about the last 6 weeks, so we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, so some people who may notice who've driven on the west edge of the high school, phase 0's begun. They're starting to move dirt, so that's exciting. Unfortunately, the weather's kind of, yeah, it's a mud puddle, but nonetheless, that's exciting times, shows the beginning of progress. Just talked about some different parking lot considerations, as we think into the future about possible expansion and growth, just some areas where we could add parking along some of these grass areas around the middle school. Just kind of in the discussion phase at this point. That's about it.
Questions for the facilities committee? Next item is the audit committee report.
So our little audit committee met on May 7 with the goal of reviewing proposals that were submitted after our request for proposals for audit services. Got 2 proposals. The one is from our auditor from last handful of years, Milton Kornman Johnson, and then a proposal from a different firm, Anderson Larkin. Reviewed, the Nolte Kornman Johnson proposal, obviously higher. Talked about their performance. Talked about the lower proposal from Anderson Larkin, and what that involved, timing, cost, history, reputation, experience, etc. And the committee recommended awarding the contract to Anderson Larkin. Yeah, we were in and out in about 30 minutes. One note I'll make is I did make contact as far as our current 2023 audit, which we haven't received yet. And they said that it's kind of being worked through now and should be signed shortly, so I'm kind of hoping by the end of the week we'll have something to look at for that. But, otherwise, yeah, as far as the next item, then we present that proposal from Anderson Larkin for consideration.
From your perspective, any concerns or reservations about Anderson Larkin?
Not really, and yeah, obviously in full exposure, that's who I had at Oskaloosa. I had 3 different ones in my time at Oskaloosa. They were the last one. All 3 of them were fine, and they do extremely good work, very efficient work, have been very good about this transition to more paperless field work type of thing. But they've always been timely and easy to work with, so I was glad they submitted the proposal, and obviously there's a cost savings there too.
Cool. Well, in the interest of being financially responsible to taxpayers, I'll make a motion to approve Anderson Larkin.
Second. Ben, seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next item is the food service meal pricing for the 2024-2025 school year.
Abby Costigan had compiled what she believes will meet all of the legal compliance parts of our food service lunch prices, particularly regarding charging enough for adult lunch, which over our current prices are adequate, and so you really don't see any changes for next year from what we have this year. Balance-wise, we're healthy in the food service fund, so we're not looking to increase prices to raise our balance, so it's just a matter of meeting compliance, and these prices do, so she recommends basically no changes for next school year.
That's good.
Could you ask, Abby, what we're seeing in numbers for free and reduced lunch? Are they going up? Are they, or do you have answers to that as we look through this back year? And compare?
I don't as far as participation in free and reduced lunch. Now, as far as strictly our free and reduced percentages, they have crept up a little, probably averaging like 2% for each building.
Okay.
Obviously some buildings higher than others, but crept up about 2% for each building, I'd say.
Are we seeing more kids eating hot lunch than we have before in the past years at all?
Yeah, that one I would not know the answer to, but I can certainly ask Abby. Have her convey that.
That would be wonderful. Just as food prices go up,
Right.
what is our community thinking of these prices? Because
Yeah, and I need to follow up with her as well, because obviously over the last month, we've had a lot of discussions over the summer food service program.
Correct.
She's trying to get the sites in place
Yeah.
that'll really best meet the needs of the
Do you know-
population that you're talking about.
do you know if she went after that second grant money that was released for school lunches for the summer programs?
I don't know if she did or not. I know one of the hangups was she was trying to, because of how things are arranged as far as rural is concerned,
Yep.
if we were to have something at Emerson, it would not be considered rural. But I think even if we had something at the high school, it would be because of the area that it covers.
Right.
And so I think she was still going to try to have a site at Emerson because that's where childcare is, I think. And I'm not sure, she was waiting to see
Okay.
if
Yeah,
that's going to happen.
because I know it's based on, because high school you have to cross 92. I mean, it's how busy are the roadways, and that has unfortunately a lot to do with that. Okay, I just saw that second grant opportunity available for schools for summer programs, and I didn't know if she had went ahead and applied for it or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, so I'll ask her about that one.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Motion to approve? Sue?
Second.
Second by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Board Policy Committee report.
So I'd say no major changes. Well, the first ones we talked about was social media and texting. The original policy was targeted more at teachers, and they've shifted that to a different category to cover the broader school population, so not just teachers, but students and staff as well. Another one was the employee qualifications and recruitment. Changes there were to about the mandatory use of the iowaworks.gov website when posting openings there. Next there was a policy on student fundraising, similar to social media and texting. That's been shifted to a different section and retitled fundraising within the district. And there was a policy on special health services we reviewed, and one on student wellness, nutrition guidelines, career education, and religion. And all pretty minor changes, I would say.
All right, so all of those that Eric went through are first reading. Then we also have a second reading to last month's 603 policies that are also in your packet there. Any questions on any of the first or second readings? Entertain a motion on the first reading.
So moved.
Eric? Second by Ryan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And a motion on the second.
Motion to approve the second reading of stated policies.
Motion made by Ryan.
Second.
Seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion also carries 5-0. The next item, I believe, is the calendar. Any changes from cabinet? Any concerns from board members? Okay. Next meeting is scheduled for June 10th unless a special meeting is called. The agenda is attached. Any questions from the board on that agenda? All right, entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Eric. Seconded by Ryan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
So,